Hello everyone, my name is Princess. Welcome back to my channel Beyond Passions. I started discussing the reasons or causes of domestic violence in my last video based on research, and I said the aim of this series is for people to see the depths of the causes of domestic violence so they can also see the possible solutions and choose what to do. Okay, so I had said that domestic violence is that violence that is committed by someone within the domestic circle of a victim, and this includes partners, ex-partners, family members, immediate family members, other family relatives, and family friends. In other words, domestic violence is perpetrated by a victim's known relation within the domestic setting. So basically, the term domestic violence is used when there is a close relationship between the person perpetrating the act and the victim. The synonyms for domestic violence are physical abuse, partner violence, partner abuse, domestic abuse. So if you hear me use any of these other terms, I am still referring to the same subject, which is domestic violence. I also told you the reasons I am doing this series, so you can warn your children and your loved ones about domestic violence, so that you can raise your children in a proper way, for them not to grow up thinking domestic violence is part of being a man, behaving badly, for them not to grow up engaging in domestic violence. My aim is also for parents who engage in domestic violence to desist from violence in the presence of their children, because they are damaging their children in so doing. I also said that I am bringing you this series so that if you are a violent partner, you should seek help in order to stop the act of violence against your partner. It's a barbaric act. There are no two ways to describe it. If you engage in domestic violence, you are not far from becoming a murderer. Just remember that I have warned you. Now, for the record, I am not an advocate of domestic violence. I abhor it, I detest it, and I forbid it. Just to be clear, so that you know where I stand. Based on research, I grouped the causes of domestic violence into 4 for now. There are individual related factors, family related factors, number 2, number 3, macro factors, and number 4, other factors. I gave reasons for domestic violence under the individual related factors, and these were substance abuse, alcohol and drunkenness, anger, uncontrolled anger and rage. Today I will continue on the causes of domestic violence under the individual related factors. If you missed the first part of this series, please check the link below. Thank you. Now let's proceed. Sorry, I should be smiling more often, but domestic violence is just a very sad subject, but we need to keep on discussing it. Under the individual related factors, this is the 4th cause of domestic violence: family history. If a person has a family history of domestic violence, that is, maybe one parent is violent and hits the other in the presence of children, when the child grows up, the child may think violence against partner is a hype, is a good thing, or is what makes a man. It is better to not expose your child to partner violence because it traumatizes that child and sends the wrong message to his fragile and impressionable mind. If a child is excessively given corporal punishment, that is excessively being caned or flogged at home and in school for every wrong thing that he or she does, the child may grow up thinking that violence is a way of correction. Unless that impression is corrected and changed before that child grows into a young adult and leaves home to school or to start his own family. This is one of the reasons children are not allowed to be exposed to movies with violence. Parents, please be careful and mind what you expose your children to. If you expose them, if you're watching movies that contain violence, please let your children not be there. Adhere to the age rating that comes with the movie. Now let's continue. So number 5 is infidelity. Infidelity is a common factor for domestic violence. A cheating partner often introduces that virus that begins to eat away the very fabrics of a loving relationship that was meant to be unified. If a cheating partner allows a temporary moment of pleasure become a habit, when discovered, it creates permanent damage to a love union. Do you want me to say that again? I said if a cheating partner allows this small moment of pleasure to become a habit, it then becomes a problem in your home when you are discovered. So there is room for forgiveness, and even after it's been forgiven, some partners never really let go of that trauma or humiliation. Some partners take it as humiliation to them, and some partners are traumatized by it. Some partners keep referring to it, thereby creating an avenue for provocation. And if you have a violent partner, they tell you that you are provoking them. They turn to violence. For example, if a cheating man is caught by his wife or girlfriend and he's eventually forgiven, it is most likely that it might come up again whenever he's suspected of cheating on his partner. A violent man would not like to be reminded of his act of cheating or his act of infidelity, and so may take to violence due to provocation. This is what we see happening in homes more often than not. So many homes that started off as happy homes end up being shattered, while most children from such homes end up being broken for life. The act of infidelity is a virus that you introduce into your homes with little moments of pleasure that you turn into habits. There's nothing hidden under the sun. When you are discovered, that may be the end to a happy home. So be careful what you do for the sake of those children. Whatever our parents did affect us, the children, in the long run, whether positively or negatively. Likewise, whatever we do as parents end up affecting our children. So let us learn from these points that I'm raising. The sixth factor under the individual related causes of domestic violence is, guess what it is? Jealousy. You guessed right. Uncontrolled jealousy oftentimes lead to regrettable actions like rage. A partner who does not control or check his jealous tendencies usually end up pointing accusing fingers at the other partner. It is much the same as the infidelity that I just finished talking about. Because he or she is overly jealous, he suspects his partner's every move. In a bid to deny such accusations, it gives rise to counter-accusations, loss of self-control, heated arguments, which often lead to uncontrolled anger too, rage, sometimes loss of desire for a partner. Silent treatment then ensues. This may degenerate to resentment, which in turn may lead to neglect of a partner. And a bid to try and change such actions may provoke the violent partner to become violent. In a bid to try and have a talk for him to change, or for her to change from being so jealous, and you're trying to explain, oh, you see that thing, or you see that person, I don't have anything to do with that person. It may lead to heated argument, and in the long run, violence. Number 7, trust. Lack of trust. Most partners are often trusting at the beginning of a relationship until they begin to give each other reasons to doubt themselves and doubt the credibility of their own words. At that point, every move becomes suspicious and partners become suspects in their own homes. This is not a good development. When trust is breached, that is when some partners start engaging in funny, petty things like snooping on each other's phones, eavesdropping into each other's phone conversations. Some make unnecessary video calls to ascertain their partner's location at the time. Some partners even go as far as listening to gossips. Some may even stalk their partners. Some partners even concoct lies just to make themselves look good after an act that they are not supposed to have engaged in. They concoct lies to win their way out of trouble. A lot of doubts then set in at this point, and all the time you're always arguing at home, which eventually may aggravate into violence, much like the point on jealousy. So when you get to this point, it becomes difficult to trust a partner. And when a partner is not trusted, a lot of trouble in the house. Well, number 8, still under the individual factors, you'd find problems arising from mental health and personality disorders. This one is a huge one. Strong emotional issues, controlling and dominant personality disorders, narcissistic personality disorders, excessive egoistic and attention freak problems arising from homes, and many other issues arising as a result of all types of personality disorders and their attendant problems. And in the parts of the world where I come from, it is not easy to diagnose these things. So you see a lot of men and women, most especially men, who have these things, these personality disorders, and they don't know that they have these personality disorders, and they just go about trying to show macho, beating up their wives, beating up their girlfriends. Some even go as far as beating up their partners, in the presence of other people. Partners with mental health and personality disorder tendencies kick off on provocation, and most of the time, because their partners are usually at close proximity with them, they bear the brunt of violence from such partners. So like I said at the beginning, one of my main objectives for this series on domestic violence is to help you to be on the lookout for a non-violent partner. If you cut long enough, the signs are always there. Look out for them. Look out for the violent partners and avoid being beaten to death by someone you say you love. It's so sad what we see on the social media. It's so sad. This recent one, the one that shot his wife in America, it's so sad. That's one of the reasons I'm bringing you this. And like I said, the other reasons I'm bringing you this series is to warn you to take care of your children and not expose your children and loved ones to domestic violence, so that you can raise your children in a proper way and not allow them to grow up behaving badly and engaging in domestic violence. So that parents who engage in domestic violence should, please take it away from their children have self-control and do not beat up your partner in the presence of your children, because your children will end up beating up their own partner in future, thinking that is way of life. So that if you're a violent partner, you should seek help. There's no shame in it. Seek help in order to stop the barbaric act, because you might go to jail if you kill someone else's child, or you will be killed. Remember the woman that stabbed her husband to death because her husband had been beating her, and then one day she just stood up and stood up against the man. She stabbed him to death, and they had what was it, a two-year-old child. And eventually the woman was taken to court and she was killed. So where is their child right now? The other reason I'm taking up this series is for those who engage in domestic violence to desist from it, please. At this point I have to stop, because this topic is disturbing. I will continue from here in my next video, so expect more on my series on domestic violence. Remember, we are still discussing causes of domestic violence under the individual factors. We still have the family related factors, we still have the macro factors, we still have other factors. So please be on the lookout. We still have a long way to go. So if you like what I do, please subscribe to my channel and press that tiny bell by your right side for notification. If you have questions for me, please leave your questions in my comment section, or I'll attend to them. Please check for links to any of my videos that I have referred to, particularly the beginning of this series, in the description below. Okay? And please, who have a tendency to be violent to their partners, please have a little self-control. And young girls and young boys who are in relationships, look out for violent partners. The signs are there. Look out for the signs and decide what to do. I can't tell you what to do. I'm here to show you, give you the information so that you know what to do with the information that I'm giving you. If you want to use it, fine. If you don't want to use the information, it's up to you. But mine is to give you in-depth information, so you decide what you want to do with it. Alright? Okay. See you some other time when I come back with more on this series. Stay safe. Stay safe. I want to see you next week. By God's grace. Love you.